study leader here at First Christian Church. Today, I would like to talk about the second of the fruit of the Spirit, and that is joy. In Galatians 5:22, Paul lists the fruit of the Spirit, and they are love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, and self-control. Joy, the second fruit of the Spirit, is deeper than mere happiness. Happiness is a glad feeling that depends on something good happening. Happiness comes from an external source. Joy, biblical joy, comes from the Holy Spirit, filling the spiritual void within us with an intimate relationship with the one who is pure joy. The Bible speaks much more often of joy than of being happy. Jesus said to his disciples in John 15:11 and in John 16:22 that his joy would remain in you, and your joy no one will take from you. Being second in the list of the fruit of the Spirit surprises some people who consider joy kind of spiritually unimportant. But joy is a major topic in the Bible. In the King James Version, the word joy appears 158 times, and the verb of joy, rejoice, 198 times. The Bible repeatedly commands us to rejoice. One of my favorite hymns is from Philippians 4:4, and it goes like this: rejoice in the Lord always, and again I say rejoice. I would sing it for you, but I will spare you that today. In 1 Thessalonians 1, Paul spoke of the joy of the Holy Spirit. It's through the Holy Spirit that God communicates his joy to us. Joy is a free and perfect gift from God, but we have to accept it. Three things we need to understand about biblical joy. First of all, the spirit of joy, the joy that the Holy Spirit gives us is unlike a worldly joy or happiness, in that it stays with us forever. Secondly, joy, God's joy, cannot be taken away. As believers, we are promised a continual presence of the Holy Spirit. And third, we need to grab hold of God's joy like a lifeline. We need to choose joy over bitterness and anger and worry and sorrow. Let's make a decision to choose joy each day. Now, there are two verses in the Bible that may bother you. Actually, I struggle with them a little. James tells us, consider it pure joy whenever you face trials of many kinds. And he goes on to say that trials produce perseverance. And then Paul follows it up in Romans by saying we rejoice in our sufferings because we know that suffering produces perseverance. Perseverance produces character, and character produces hope. Somehow I just struggle to get my head around the idea of joy in suffering. Maybe you do too. But one of the verses that I cling to is from the book of Nehemiah. And the verse is in chapter 8, verse 10. The joy of the Lord is my strength. I cling to that because we can take joy in the Lord, who is a forgiving, compassionate, merciful God, who has offered us the gift of salvation through his Son, Jesus. We can take joy in knowing that God, through the Holy Spirit, provides us continual comfort, strength, guidance. We can take joy knowing, as in Psalm 121 it said, our God who watches over us neither slumbers nor sleeps. Both Paul and James say these trials produce perseverance. Well, I looked up perseverance, and here's the definition of it. It is defined as persistence in doing something despite difficulty or delay in achieving success. I love that definition because of the idea of achieving success. You know, we are having difficulty. We are being delayed in our lives, but we will have success. We will get back to life as we want it to be. What I like about the definition of perseverance is that idea of achieving success. The world is going through unprecedented trials right now, but we as believers have God's promise of His presence, comfort, and strength, and this should fill our hearts with joy. Now, we have this joy, but is it for us alone? I think you know the answer to that. No. We are not to hoard our joy. We are to share it. How do we share the joy of Christ with others? We can call people, text them, video chat them, write them a note. And those people can be members of our church, our neighbors, our family, our friends. Who do you know that needs to learn about the joy that can be found through Jesus? We can even have joy by sharing a smile. Now, I know you were thinking, Terry Beckwith, nobody can see me smiling under that mask that I have to wear. My best friend, Marianne, says, I can tell when a person is smiling by their eyes. And I think she's right. So just keep on smiling right under those masks. Share your joy. And I would like to end today by giving 3 examples of joyful living. These are members of our church, and I have been given permission to tell their stories. Gratitude is a characteristic of joy. A grateful heart finds joy even in trials. I called a church member this week to ask about how she and her husband were doing, and I learned that it was her 64th birthday. I wished her a happy birthday, and then I said, well, it certainly is hard to celebrate as we are used to doing. And she responded by describing her day. She said, Terry, I woke up and I thanked God for this day. And I thanked Him for giving me 64 years. And then I thanked Him for Jesus and the salvation He has given me and His Word that I can study. She shared how she was blessed all day long with cards, video chats, calls, well wishes from family and friends. She ended by saying it was a great day. No family party, no get together, no outing, but it was a great day. This is the gratitude that she has in her heart, and her joy in hearing her recount her day gave me great joy. The joy of the Lord is her strength. Another example is another woman in our church. She is currently undergoing her 2nd round of treatment for cancer. After being cancer-free for a year, it came back. I told her once that whenever I called her, there was such a joy in her voice that it just livened my spirit to hear her. And she said to me that she was thankful for each day she was given, each moment actually were her words, each moment that she was given, and tried to express that joy in her heart and through her heart, in her voice and her positivity. You know, her 2nd treatment this time ended in an allergic reaction. Her hands swelled up at the end of the treatment. And when she told me this, I said, oh my, and she says, it's okay, Terry, it's all good. I got home just fine. That is gratitude and joy personified. The joy of the Lord is her strength. My last example of joy is manifested by perseverance. This man, another beloved member of our church, spent 4.5 years battling pancreatic cancer. Our families are very close. His wife and I taught together for years at Broken Arrow High School, and our children grew up together. 4.5 years of treatments, surgery, and more treatments. His wife, who gave me permission to share this, said that he found joy each day in reading devotionals and studying the Word. And his great joy was to attend worship services. Toward the end, he couldn't come as often as he would like. And one Sunday, he felt up to it. Our service had already begun because it took them long to get dressed and everything longer than normal. And I could tell that they had walked in by the reaction of our organist. She has a vantage point of the whole congregation up there by her organ on her organ bench. Well, first of all, I thought she was going to fall off the organ bench, but she didn't. And then her face just broke out in this wonderful smile. And I knew what had happened. I knew that Bill and Lynn had come into the service. And as people turned around and saw them, you could see the joy rippling through our congregation. The joy of them being there literally gave us all such a spiritual uplifting that day. He's now with the Lord, but his example of courage, perseverance, and joy in the Lord remains in all of us who knew him. The joy of the Lord was his strength. Is your heart filled with joy this day? Or are you anxious, worried, angry, afraid? I ask you to go to the source of love and joy and peace. Seek out the Lord. He's always there. He's never asleep. And he's ready to take you in his righteous right hand and lead you through these times of trouble with joy. Jesus told his disciples, and that's us, that we were his great joy. Just think about that a minute. We are Jesus's joy. Let that thought fill your cup to overflowing this day. And now may the peace that surpasses all understanding guard your hearts in Jesus Christ. Thank you.